Hi, I'm Matt Gary with SSPT, and I'm passionate about powerlifting. I have 28 years in the sport as a competitor, national referee, committee member, and chairman, as well as a meet director and promoter. But the one thing that has brought me more meaning, joy, and satisfaction than anything else is coaching. I've written programming, done countless hours of one-on-one, in-person coaching, conducted and participated in seminars, taught coaching certifications, and I've been blessed to be a national team head coach 5 times and an assistant or personal coach on more than 25 national teams. I've attended and coached at 22 IPF World Championships, 16 of which have been overseas, and have been lucky enough to coach 38 world champions in equipped and raw competition. I've been to 1 World Games, every single Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio since 2008, and more local, state, and regional competitions than I can even recall. Having said that, there is nothing about powerlifting that excites me more than game day coaching. I even wrote an ebook about it, which is available in the link below. Competitions are the proving grounds. It's where the rubber meets the road, and lifters are afforded the opportunity to test their mettle against others in hopes of achieving something they've never done before, their own personal best or personal record. There are a lot of recap and highlight videos online. This video is not that. This video is my game day analysis of what happened. Think of this as taking a deeper look at the X's and O's of coaching, attempt selection, execution, and how all of that affects outcomes. Please let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, share the video, and please feel invited to drop a comment below. And thank you for watching. Here are the nominations for the 57 kilo weight class, and as you can see, this is a huge weight class with 29 lifters from all around the world. However, I am going to be focusing only on the top 4 lifters as they are relevant to the podium and how everything shakes out. That's Jade Jacob from France, USA's Natalie Richards, Great Britain's Bobbie Butters, and Maiara, who goes by Maya, de Silva Diaz from Spain. As I've said many times, the nominated totals, in theory, should be the total that each lifter used to qualify for the World Championships. However, sometimes nations don't submit true totals, but these seem to be reflective indeed of what the lifters have done at their qualifying meets. And once again, as I've said many times before, the nominations don't always hold true to form. They don't hand out medals for nominations. They hand out the medals for what you actually do on the platform. Okay, let's take a look at our scouting report for the top 4 competitors. Ranked number 1, we have Jade Jacob of France. She has the current world record in the deadlift and total at 231 kilos and 503.5 respectively. She achieved both of those recently at the Sheffield. She's got a very strong squat, obviously a strong deadlift because she holds the world record. She's battle tested. She's likely to use the chip on the world record deadlift at the end, so she'll have that to her advantage naturally. However, she has a habit, or I should say tendency, if you will, as does Team France and the way that they coach and compete, to open rather heavy, and they favor small progressions and small jumps. So while that can be
misleading at the beginning of a competition based on openers. Things often change as the meet goes because they take smaller progressions. At number 2, we have USA's own Natalie Richards, who is most likely the most well-rounded lifter here. She's very consistent. She rarely misses. You can see she makes approximately 8.28 attempts out of 9. She also is a very good deadlifter. And she was, a fun fact, she was the first 57-kilo female to break the 500-kilo barrier, and she did that at Powerlifting America Nationals. However, this is her first international competition. She is the least experienced when it comes to international competition because this is her first. However, she's not afraid of larger jumps, and I don't say big jumps. I just say jumps that are larger than what the French take and a little bit more pragmatic, frankly, in terms of how she compares her progressions to the other lifters. Bobbie Butters is by far the most experienced. She is super consistent and reliable. She's a subtotal lifter. She's got the best squat. She currently holds the world record in the squat and is likely to try to go for a world record on a third attempt and use that chip to her advantage. But she builds all of her total, or the bulk of her total, I should say, with her subtotal, and then because she is the weakest deadlifter by far, really just tries to hang on at the end. So she can be overtaken if she makes mistakes by a stronger deadlifter. And that's where Maiara da Silva Diaz comes in. She's the reigning 2022 IPF Junior World Champion. She's the least, well, I shouldn't say, she's kind of with Natalie in terms of the least experienced at this level of competition, although she has done Junior Worlds. She's a pretty balanced lifter. She makes, however, she misses a lot of her third deadlifts. So we're going to be looking to see if she can pace with Bobbie Butters. But in truth, this competition is really shakes out to be a battle for that top spot between Jade and Natalie, and then a battle for the third podium spot or the bronze medal position between Bobbie Butters and Maiara. Here's a look at our prognosis or forecasted total, and that is the predicted total based on everyone's opening attempt. So again, you submit your openers at weigh-ins, and they forecast a total based on those numbers. So we have Jade Jacob of France ranked number 1 with a prognosis of 482.5 kilos. She has the second best lot number with a lot number of 28, but it really doesn't make a difference for Jade because, at least on paper, she is the strongest deadlifter as she holds the world record and presumably would be pulling last anyway. So for her, lot number is really not much of an issue. She is a full 20 kilos ahead of USA's Natalie Richards, who has the third best lot number with 27, but is the lightest of the competitors. So at a body weight of 55.8 kilos, Natalie has the advantage of tying and winning on body weight, or if she's in the lead at the end of the last round of deadlifts and someone we're going to pull after her, presumably Jade, Jade would have to beat her. She would have to put enough weight on the bar, presumably use a deadlift chip. Maybe a chip wouldn't be necessary, but she would matter-of-factly have to lift more than Natalie because Jade is heavier. So at the very beginning of the competition, when this prognosis goes up on the screen in the back, it is absolutely critical of coaches to take inventory of where their lifter sits in terms of, obviously in terms of total, but they need to find out their body weights and see who's lighter, who's heavier, lot numbers, and so forth. If they've scouted well enough, they know who has chip advantages and so on. But it is critical to take inventory to find out which pieces, if you will, you can leverage to your advantage. Bobbie Butters, as we've said, now she's got the worst lot number, which really doesn't matter for her because Bobbie is going to deadlift first anyway because she builds the lion's share of her total with her subtotal. So you can see she's in third place, significantly behind Natalie, but right on her heels is Maiara da Silva Diaz. only 2.5 kilos behind. And oh, by the way, Maya is lighter than Bobbie. So we'll be looking to see at the end of the day if Maya can potentially capitalize on that and tie Bobbie and sneak on the podium. But there you have it. That is the prognosis or forecasted total, if you will, before the start of competition. All right, so we're starting off the competition with USA's Natalie Richards, opening at 165 kilos, which is 92.4% of her personal best. That is a pragmatic opening attempt, and as you can see, she hits it comfortably, leaving room to grow, giving her room to progress. She skips off the platform. She's in a great mood, looking confident after a nice opener. Next up is Maiara de Silva from Spain, our junior world champion. She is opening on 170 kilos. And as I said at the start, she is going to be competing primarily against Bobbie Butters for presumably that bronze medal position on the podium. But she makes quick work of her opening attempt. And next up is Jade Jacob. She's opening at 172.5, but her current PB is 180 kilos. So this is 95.8%. This is a heavy opener. Data show us that openers should be somewhere between 90 and 92%. So this is a heavy opener, not leaving her as much room to grow. And I suppose it would be appropriate if they were predicting a heavier third, if they feel like her ceiling is a lot higher than the incremental PB. So for me, that's a heavy opener. Doesn't give her a lot of room to grow. Now we've got world record holder in the squat, Bobbie Butters of Great Britain, coming out at 175 kilos. Probably also just a pinch heavy for my taste in terms of where she might end. But nevertheless, Bobbie is a supremely good squatter, opening on 175. That's 385 pounds. And hits that solidly. Comes off the platform. 3 white lights, very confident. Solid looking opener for Bobbie. Okay, we've got Natalie Richards on 172.5, so a nice progression. This is literally like a perfect second attempt. The data show us that second attempts should be somewhere between 95 and 97% of our max. 96.6 happens to be SSPT's sweet spot. That's what I preach all the time. That is literally right in line with what we take as a second attempt. It builds the total, and it is a nice stepping stone to that third attempt, leaving room to grow, but not emptying the gas tank. Maiara de Silva here on 177.5. So she took a 7.5 kilo progression from her opener to her second. And she's got a nice solid walkout, kind of a wide base for someone of her height. But she secures a solid second squat attempt and gets 3 white lights and sets her up for her third. Little sticky coming out of the hole. Probably not much left in the tank. Now we've got Jade coming out, and remember, her PB is 180 kilos, so this will effectively tie her PB. So perhaps the French team was projecting a higher third, or they thought her ceiling was higher, but this is literally a 100% lift. This is heavy for a second attempt. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, because this does not leave a lot of room for her to grow into that third attempt. She hits it, and it actually looks comfortable. I mean, from there, you're probably thinking she could go, well, obviously the minimum is 2.5 and possibly 5. So perhaps they were projecting a higher third squat. Perhaps they were projecting as high as 185 or 187, but they took the 180, and now they have to make a decision for the third. Bobbie Butters went up 7.5, so she's coming to 182.5, and her world record is 185.5. So I would assume that when Bobbie makes this attempt, she will jump straight to the world record at 186. That would be the smart strategic move. And a little bit slower for a second attempt than you would probably like. But again, this is where Bobbie builds her total. Almost certainly she's going to go for that chip on her third, because why not? And, you know, that's one of the ace cards up her sleeve, if you will, that she pretty much has to play. Okay, we've got Natalie Richards setting up on a 180 kilo squat. This is for a PB because her PB is 178.5. And a perfectly called third attempt. She might have had 2.5 more, but why risk it? You want to build that total. And that's right, she's coming off the platform. Lights are delayed, but she's ecstatic. 3 for 3 in the squat for Natalie, and a lifetime squat PB at a world championships. That's huge. Anytime you can hit a squat PB, or any PB for that matter, at a world championships, that's a big deal. Now we've got Maiara Silva. Took a small increase, only went up to 2.5 from her second to her third. So the Spanish coaches and team, and Maiara herself, obviously didn't think that she had much left in the tank. It's the whole, yep, and they were right. So she gets stuck. So really only lost 2.5 kilos potentially. But so Maya misses 180 and finishes with a 177.5 kilo squat. All the more reason for Bobbie, and we'll see her in a moment, to load up a chip and try to extend her lead. So now we've got Jade coming out. This will be a PB squat for her. Her personal best was 180, which she tied on her second. And so they decided to basically take the low-hanging fruit and try for a 182.5 kilo squat on the third. This will be a PB by 2.5 kilos. So an incremental PB for Jade when she makes this lift. Yep, hits the hole, sticky, but the French can grind very well. And that's a good lift. So good squat series for Jade. She opened a pinch heavy, had to take smaller jumps, but got the PB at the World Championships and is ahead of Natalie on squats by 2.5, going into bench press. Here's the final squatter of the round. As I said, squatter extraordinaire, world record holder Bobbie Butters at 185.5, but she's coming out, she's going to chip that record and go to 186 kilos. So this is about 408 pounds. Super intense. Bobbie Butters is known for her emotion and for her competitive fire. She's the best squatter in the world at this body weight. She sets up, takes it down, and just a little bit too heavy. The second attempt at 182.5 was kind of sticky and hard and took just a little bit too much gas out of the tank. So Bobbie misses a shot at the world record. And that worked out well for Maiara, because while Bobbie is ahead, She's not ahead by much. So now we're into the bench presses. Maya, the weakest bencher of the field, coming out first. And she is opening on 85 kilos. But good solid opener, makes quick work of that. Well done, she's looking confident. And next up is Jade Jacob, who's opening at 95 kilos. Her personal best is 100. So this is, again, a heavy opener. Unless they're projecting a much higher bench, this is right more in line with like a second attempt. So with a 100-kilo opener, I probably would have had her open at 90, maybe even 87.5, but they tend to take smaller jumps. And as you can see, that's a heavy opener. It moves slowly and just doesn't give a lot of room for progression and growth. So they're probably going to have to take a really small increase or the smallest possible increase on the second and just go up to 2.5. Slow coming off the chest and through the transition. Now we've got Natalie Richards, and she's opening on 97.5. This is actually a light opener. This is probably a little bit on the light side, but having said that, her first international competition, international judging and so forth can be really strict in the bench. Oh yeah, I mean, she smokes that with a lot of room for growth and progression. She's very happy, very confident, kind of skipping off the platform like we saw her do during the squats. So even though that was a light opener on the light side, you know, she probably could have opened at 100, a good call strategically. Bobbie Butters is the best bencher of the group. As I said earlier, builds her total, or the lion's share of her total with the subtotal. Missed the opportunity for the chip in the squat, and she's opening on 102.5. Self lift off, doesn't use the spotter. And a really good, solid, nice looking opener for Bobbie. So good news, everybody is in the meet after the bench press. We didn't have any issues on elbow depth. All the lifters are securely in. And we're moving on to the second round. So now we've got Maya. She took a small increase. Just the 2.5 kilo increase up to 87.5. And she hits that comfortably. So having only taken a 2.5 kilo increase from first to second, the rational thing to do would be to take another 2.5 kilo increase and go straight to 90 for a third. But that looked very comfortable. Okay, so now we've got Jade on 97.5. This is actually an ideal second attempt based on the data, based on the percentages. This is right in line with where you would be if you were going to try to chip your PR or have an incremental PR. But also, it's the only place to go, really, based on how her opener looked. She's got a really slow descent, slow off the chest, and it was kind of a weird touch point. So she misses this one, kind of bails on that. So naturally, for her third attempt, she's really got no other choice than to repeat it. So I don't know what happened there, if that was a misgroove or what have you, but opening heavier, using up a lot of gas in the tank, leading to a second attempt miss. And in theory, second attempts should not be missed. Okay, so we've got Natalie moving from 97 to 105 kilos. So a bigger jump, 7.5 kilos, but again, right in line with her strength. This is a 97.6% second attempt, and she hits it comfortably. Good, solid, total building second attempt. And my guess is they will just go to tie the PB on the third. Her personal best is 107.5. And final bencher of the round, we have Bobbie Butters. She just took the 5 kilo increase from 102.5 to 107.5. Yep, kind of a tough attempt there for Bobbie at 107.5, but she does grind through the sticking point and is credited with her second bench press. So now we're going to be starting the third round of benches with junior world champion Maiara Silva, and she's coming out for 90 kilos for her third and final attempt. And she does hit that. Kind of a weird live stream there where they didn't catch it until the very end. But nevertheless, a successful attempt on 90 kilos for Maiara. So she took small jumps, 2.5 and 2.5. Finally, we've got Jade coming out. Now she's looking to repeat what she just missed. So she's on 97.5 kilos and can hopefully come back and get this lift. And she does. So a little bit higher touch point that time. Maybe she just misgrooved the second attempt and touched a little bit too low. But she was able to come back and grind through that, which was good. Pick up another 2.5 kilos that she would have lost. And now she's back in the fight. And now we've got the final two benchers of the round. We've got Natalie Richards, as I said, coming out on 107.5 kilos. This will tie Natalie's PB. She's already got the squat PB. Now she's just looking to build the total. No point in risking anything here and going for 110. While she may have the strength for 110, this is a good strategic call by game day coach Arian Kamesi and her programming coach Steve Denovi. Yeah, and that was the perfect call. Look, she might have had 109 kilos. I don't know if 110 would have gone, but that's good. She's really confident. Look, she's 6 for 6 at subtotal, so that's a really smart call. Why risk anything? Pick up the extra 2.5 kilos. Now we've got Bobbie Butters, and she is fired up, right? She is like a Tasmanian devil, and she's going to need to be because her second attempt in the bench was really sticky. The 107.5 was really tough. So Bobbie coming out on 110. Again, she doesn't use the spotter or the liftoff person. She's going to take this out on her own. 110 kilos, 242 pounds. Yeah, and unfortunately, just wasn't meant to be. She gets stuck, and now she's 4 out of 6. This is uncharacteristic for Bobbie. She is an exceptional lifter, super consistent, usually makes almost 8.5 out of 9 attempts. So really shocking to see Bobbie only get 2 of each. And unfortunately, because that's where she builds the lion's share of her total, that's really not a good scenario for her heading into deadlifts. All right. So taking a look at the standings at subtotal, and this is really important. So Bobbie is in the lead, barely, with 290 kilos, having missed her third squat and third bench. Natalie Richards is in second, with Jade in third, and Maiara in fourth. However, so for the people sitting in the stands, and oftentimes family members, they get so excited because they see their they see the person that they're cheering for in the lead, but that is only temporary. So what coaches need to look at is the prognosis, or the forecasted total after opening deadlifts. So once people secure their opening deadlift, this whole standings is going to get shaken up again, right? So we're going to have Jade. She's opening the heaviest at 215 kilos. She is immediately going to jump from third place at subtotal all the way back into first. Natalie will remain in second, but will be closing the gap between her and Jade. And then we've got Bobbie, who will be in third, but Maya right on her heels in fourth. So it's really important to always factor in, while you might be in the lead at subtotal, it's only temporary and the lead could change. So here we go. The meet doesn't start until the bar hits the floor. We've got Bobbie Butters from Great Britain. As I said, she was on the top of the leaderboard at subtotal, but she has the weakest deadlift. And so, unfortunately, Bobbie, in all likelihood, is going to get passed during the deadlift series. She's opening on 170 kilos, and she makes quick work of that. Good, solid deadlift for Bobbie. And let's see if she can make all three pulls after having missed her third squat and third bench. Now we've got Maya opening on 190. So a big deadlift opener for Maya. Oh yeah, and she nails that with room to spare. Nice, healthy deadlift opener for Maya. Looks confident coming off the platform. And she's going to just be looking to hold serve, hold pace, and track along with what Bobbie's doing and try to catch her and win that third medal, or bronze medal position, I should say, on body weight. So we've got Natalie Richards coming out for her opening attempt on 200 kilos. And as I said, they favor larger, more pragmatic jumps than the French team. But this is a 200 kilo opener, 90.3% of her PB, which is 221.5. This is just a perfect, really ideal opening attempt. Wow. And I mean, she just smokes it. Almost too fast for the live stream. And there she goes again, skipping off. Really happy. Legendary game day coach Arian Kamesi is helping her. And in all likelihood, they are going to take a larger jump than what I would expect the French team to do after Jade's opener. So again, Jade Jacob, world record holder in the deadlift at 231 kilos, and she can grind. She's opening on 215. So this is about 93%, which really is just a stitch too heavy. But again, perhaps the French team is progressing, that she has a higher ceiling today than the 231. Maybe they're projecting 235, 237. We don't know. But based on a 231 PB, it is a stitch heavy. I would favor an opener somewhere around 91%. 90 to 92 is typically ideal based on the data that I have collected over the past 22 years. But nevertheless, she makes that. We're taking a look at the standings there. And I am not sure why the standings have everybody doubled up. They have the competitors listed twice. But Jade is in the lead over Natalie at 7.5 kilos. So we've got Bobbie Butters. She jumped 10 kilos from 170 to 180, coming out for her second pull. Again, very excitable, intense lifter, a lot of outward emotion, a lot of competitive fire, firing herself up. She is like a textbook conventional deadlifter, double overhand hook grip, and a little bit slow for a second attempt, but solid nonetheless. I suspect they would probably only go up 5 kilos based on that one. And here's the replay. Again, a little sticky right around the knee, but she secures her second attempt. Maya comes out having taken a 7.5 kilo jump. So Maya's on 197.5. This is 435 pounds for Maya's second deadlift. And she's made quick work of that. And so judging those two deadlifts, Maya's second certainly looked faster than Bobbie's. So you can almost guarantee, with the advantage of pulling after Bobbie, that the Spanish team is just in a wait and see moment, right? They're going to see what Bobbie does, and they're just going to match her, try to tie Bobbie, and take the bronze medal on the podium via body weight. Here comes Natalie Richards, fired up, 215 kilo, second attempt, 97%. This is ideal. This is right in line with where a second attempt should be, somewhere between 95 and 97. A lot of focus and concentration. Once she gets set, she does not waste much time. And yeah, she smokes the second attempt. She's 8 for 8, putting herself in a great position here for a big third. Very good second attempt for Natalie. Okay, we've got Jade coming out now for her second attempt. And shockingly, they put in 225.5 kilos. This is right in line mathematically, but it is an error strategically, because when Jade makes this lift, she is going to give up the advantage on body weight. So I don't know if the French coaches misread the body weights or what happened, but they should have taken strategically, instead of 222, this should have been 225 to keep Jade ahead. So she makes the lift, and as I said, in terms of an intensity or load on the bar, in terms of effort, it's right in line with where a second attempt should be, but it's a mistake strategically. Now they've relinquished position because now Natalie's in the lead. Natalie is in the lead on body weight at 502.5 and in the driver's seat now, because she can put a deadlift on there and push Jade to the brink. So I don't know what the French team was thinking there, but they gave up positioning. That second deadlift, in theory, should have been 2.5 kilos heavier to stay ahead of Natalie. And with lot number advantage and deadlift advantage over Natalie, that would have put Jade in the driver's seat for the third attempt. But nevertheless, we've got Bobbie coming out for her final attempt. And this is only 182.5, so they took a small jump. But again, they must not have been confident enough to take the 5, or they would have taken the 5. So Bobbie getting fired up, trying to end on a high note, having missed her third squat and third deadlift, or third bench, I should say. Yeah, and you know, it was sticky, it was hard. She kind of gives out that primal scream at the end. She may have had 2.5 more. At this point, I think she's just relieved. It is not like Bobbie Butters to make only 7, and I say only 7, but I mean that out of respect and out of reverence for her, because she's such an exceptional and consistent lifter. But nevertheless, Bobbie is now finished, and yep, that's exactly what the Spanish team did. They're going for 205 kilos. This will effectively tie Bobbie. You can see the Spanish coach off to the right. This will tie Bobbie's total. And Maya nails it. That was the perfect call. Absolutely phenomenal attempt selection. That's exactly what you want to do as a coach. Maya is ecstatic, knowing that she's not going to catch Natalie nor Jade for second place. She's just really fighting for a spot on the podium. And that was the perfect attempt call. Really exciting to see that. Good strategy by the coaches. And so Maya is your bronze medalist. And they showed Jade's picture, but that was a mistake. It is, in fact, Natalie Richards, and she's coming out for 225 kilos, 496 pounds. This will be a total world record. This will push the world record from 503.5 up to 512.5. They're cleaning the bar, making sure that they have all the chalk off of it. Maybe Maya may have bled on the bar. I'm not certain, but they're wiping it down for this all-important third attempt. This is exactly what I was thinking. This is the attempt. Natalie may have more. You know, her second attempt looks so smooth, but why risk it? This is going to push Jade Jacob to the brink. So this is a PB attempt of 101.5%. The percentage really doesn't matter, but it's a personal best attempt. This is the perfect call strategically. Well done by game day coach Arian Kamesi, and of course conferring with programming coach Steve DeNovi back home. Perfect attempt selection. Oh yeah, and that's, look at that. Natalie Richards, ladies and gentlemen, nails the third attempt. I mean, with room to spare, she probably had 230 kilos if she needed it, which is nice to have that kind of ceiling. So she hits that third deadlift with room to spare. And so now she's put Jade Jacob into a position where Jade has to beat her because she's heavier, but the French call for 232.5, and they can't make another deadlift change, and they've already called, or they're putting the weights on now, and I believe that they already used up their changes. 232.5, and this is a math error. This is just unthinkable, just entirely avoidable, inexplicable, and inexcusable. There aren't enough adjectives. My mind was blown just watching this. They called for 232.5. So if Jade gets this, she will actually tie and lose on body weight. So the correct and appropriate call was 233 kilos, which would have meant Jade, if she got the lift, would win by 0.5 kilos. Again, Jade is heavier. So this is just an inexcusable math error. This would be a PB for Jade and a world record deadlift, but it's just the wrong number. They need 233 instead of 232. So this is an irrelevant lift. And she almost gets it to lock out and then drops it out of her right hand. And so, to be honest, you know, as someone watching this, it's kind of fitting that she missed it, because can you imagine the horror if she had actually lifted this and then realized that the French team coaches had miscalculated and she'd lost on body weight? It's really just unthinkable. But there are the final standings, with Natalie Richards in first place, Jade in second, and Maya in third. So here we have the final results for the 57 kilo class at the 2023 IPF Classic World Championships in Malta. And Natalie Richards of the United States is your IPF World Champion. Absolutely exquisite performance, pristine execution, going 9 for 9, surgical attempt selection from her game day coach, Arian Kamesi. And what more can you say about Natalie's performance? She hits a personal best squat, ties a PB in the bench press, hits a personal best deadlift, personal best and world record total, and punches her ticket to go to Sheffield. So in this highly anticipated matchup between her and Jade Jacob of France, Natalie executed flawlessly. And this is a perfect example of not judging a book by its cover, and it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Jade was projected 20 kilos ahead on openers, and Natalie wins by 10 kilos. So it is imperative that game day coaches not become intimidated by prognosis or forecasted totals at the start of the competition. Lifters have to compete, they have to execute, they have to make lifts, and oftentimes the nominations or even the projections do not hold true to form, and this is a perfect example of that. So Natalie played her game, built her total through pragmatic attempt selection and pristine execution, and is your IPF world champion. Jade Jacob of France comes in second. You could say this was a bit of an upset. I don't necessarily think so. I think Natalie's a better lifter. I think she's more consistent. While this was her first international competition, the travel certainly didn't affect her. She rose to the occasion, but a little bit disappointing for Jade, only going 7 for 9 and coming in just under a PB total. So still an exceptional performance. And look, Jade is a phenomenal talent, and I believe that this is the first of more matchups. I certainly hope we'll see more matchups between these two powerhouses at 57 kilos. But just the tale of the tape and the story, the way it unfolded was that the French team, they just characteristically opened too heavy. Now again, I'm not privy to all of Jade's training. If they were projecting heavier thirds and they thought had a higher ceiling, then perhaps their openers were right in line with what they were thinking. But for my taste and my experience, the openers were too heavy, which mandates smaller progressions. It forces you to go smaller on your second and third attempts with less room to progress and just less room to grow, so to speak. So, and then of course the unthinkable. I mean, they were thoroughly outcoached. Arian outcoached the French team. They dropped the ball. It wasn't just errors in judgment on their part. Judgment errors are understandable, and I've made them myself. I'll jump to the front of the line and say that I've made plenty of judgment errors. Occasionally, a game day coach will either under or overestimate their lifter and get it wrong. But what is unthinkable, what is entirely avoidable and arguably inexcusable is making a math error or a math miscalculation. And that's what the French team did. They made an error in calculation, and you shouldn't be too proud to pull out a calculator and have another coach or coaches double or triple check your work. The coaches owe it to the lifter to get the right number on the bar, and they called for 232.5 kilos, which would have tied Natalie, but lost on body weight. They needed 233, and they literally and figuratively just fumbled the ball and screwed it up. And that was a huge mistake, and potentially cost Jade the championships there. But again, that's taking nothing away from Natalie. Credit to Natalie. Natalie, I believe, had more in some of her lifts if she'd needed it. But anyway, she walks away the IPF world champion. And Maiara de Silva Diaz of Spain, your junior world champion, now comes in bronze, keeping pace with Bobbie Butters the whole day and sneaking there at the end and snagging that bronze medal position. So congratulations to her. This was a thrilling weight class to watch. I hope you've enjoyed this analysis and breakdown. Please like, subscribe, share the video, and do drop some comments below. And I look forward to catching you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.